What would you do if you had an extra day off every single week? Like, imagine not having to drive to work, no meetings, no deadlines, no alarm clocks, no emails. Just time to actually live your life. Maybe you would spend time with your family or on a passion project, or simply just lay around doing absolutely nothing. If that sounds like a dream, I understand because I've been there and I thought that was a dream too until I made it happen. I went from grinding 5 days a week to working 4 days a week, and let me tell you, it's been the best decision I have ever made in my life. And it's because I realized that it's not just about working less, it's about taking back control of your life. In this video, I'm going to share everything. How I made the leap to a 4-day work week, the doubts and fears I had about leaving potential money on the table, exactly how I approached my higher ups to make this happen, and how it has completely transformed or transforming my life. By the end of this video, I hope you walk away with a clear roadmap as to how to make this happen and reclaim your life and start living life on your own terms. We call it a 9 to 5 job, but if we are being real, it's actually not 9 to 5. Most companies these days work from 8 to 5, which means you have to wake up at least by 6:30 or 7 o'clock, get dressed, sit in the morning traffic for almost 45 minutes to 1 hour, and get there. By the time you finish your work, sit in more traffic, and get home, it's already around 6 o'clock. And then it's a mad rush to shower, cook, or clean up a little bit. And before you know it, it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Adults are supposed to get at least 8 to 9 hours of sleep. But if I'm being honest, getting at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep felt like a luxury. So I would aim to be in bed by 11 o'clock just to function the next day. And that leaves what? 4 hours of free time? After a long day like that, you barely have the energy to do anything productive or meaningful. You're so drained, and those few hours barely feel like a free time. We all live for those 2 magical days, right? But when you think about it, 2 days is not enough to recharge after a 5-day grind. Half of Saturdays goes into doing laundry, running errands, or cleaning up the house. And by Sunday, you're already dreading Monday. And sure, maybe you can squeeze in one fun activity, but where do you have time to work on that side hustle that you've been dreaming about, or that passion project that you've been putting off? You don't. It's just this endless cycle of surviving and not living. For me, the tipping point came when I realized that this is not sustainable. I wasn't just tired, I was burned out. I felt like I was running on empty all the time, like I was giving my best energy to my job, and there was nothing left for me at the end of the day. And that's when I made the decision. I need a day off during the week, non-negotiable. A day to breathe, recharge, and reset and actually live my life. It wasn't easy, I'll admit that, and I was too scared to ask for fewer hours. I mean, we have all been conditioned to think that working less is lazy, right? But here's the truth. What's the cost of burning yourself out? Because that's the real question, isn't it? What's the point in working so hard if it's at the expense of your health, your happiness, and your dreams? Before I even asked my manager about switching to 4 days, I wanted to make sure that my financial situation is right and I was okay to take a pay cut. I did not want to wake up one day and think, oh no, what did I do? So here's the simple math I did to get clear on how much I would be working with and how much I can adjust. Let's say you get paid $35 an hour and you work 40 hours a week. That's $1,400 a week or $5,600 a month. Not bad, right? But when you drop to 32 hours a week, now you're making $1,120 a week, which is around $4,480 a month. That's a difference of $1,120 a month. I literally grabbed a notebook and wrote down everything I spend money on. Rent, utilities, groceries, phone bill, internet, gas, all of it. Then I added in the little things, going to Starbucks or Dunkin' or restaurants, online shopping, and every other random expenses I had. Seeing all that in paper actually helped me realize where all my money was going. Once I wrote everything down, it was easy to spot the stuff that I actually didn't need. Like, I didn't need to order takeout sometimes, I could cook at home. And those random late night Amazon purchases, yeah, that had to go. By cutting out a few small things, I was actually able to save a surprising amount. I made sure that my non-negotiables like rent, bills, and groceries were fully covered by the 4-day income. Once I felt like I could cover the basics, I felt more confident in making the switch. Now, I didn't want to feel stressed right out of the gate, so I saved up for a little buffer. Just a couple of months worth of expenses. That way, if something unexpected came up, I would be fine. It actually wasn't anything fancy. I just saved up a little bit from each paycheck before I made the change. Here's the fun part. Before I officially switched to a 4-day work week, I started acting like I was already earning less. For a couple of months, I only spent according to how I would earn on a 4-day schedule. It was like a practice run, and it gave me so much confidence that I could make it work. The idea of earning less might feel scary at first, but when you break it down, it's actually doable. The truth is that you're not just losing money, you're gaining time. And for me, that's been worth way more than a few extra dollars on my paycheck. Now let's talk about the part most people get nervous about: negotiating with your manager or your higher ups to make the switch to a 4-day work week. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not as simple as sending an email and getting an instant yes. It takes patience, understanding, and a little back and forth. Here's exactly how my process went and what you can expect if you're considering doing this too. When I decided to make the switch, I put in a request through email. I kept it professional but straightforward. You don't need to get into great details as to what your reasons are, especially if it is mental health related. You can just say, due to personal reasons, I would like to request a reduction in my work week to 4 days. When I sent that email, I did not expect an immediate yes, and neither should you. The first response I got was, "We need more time to figure this out." And honestly, it's fair. When you think about it, your absence on those extra days means that they have to make arrangements and adjustments through shifting workloads or even hiring someone to cover for you on those days. It's a whole process. This is where patience is key. I knew that this wasn't going to happen overnight, and I was ready to wait and work with them to make this transition as smooth as possible. Here's what I did and what I recommend you do too. Show them that you understand that this is a change that they need to adjust to. Let them know that you are willing to work together to figure it out. After your initial request, don't sit back and wait indefinitely. Check in every couple of weeks. If you have direct access to your HR or your manager, a simple text works. Otherwise, emails are great because they leave a paper trail. Just keep it professional. You can just say, "Hi," the manager's name, and just say, "I just wanted to follow up on my request to switch to a 4-day work week, and please let me know if there's anything that I can assist you with in the process." And most importantly, don't get discouraged if the process takes a little longer. I'd say give it at least a month or two for them to figure it out. You're asking for a change that could impact the whole team or their work schedule sometimes, so it's understandable that it won't happen overnight. This part is super important. Don't just wait for them to solve it. Offer solutions to make it easier for everyone involved. For example, you can volunteer to help train someone who is going to cover for you for that day. You can also offer suggestions as to how the workload can be redistributed for that day. The goal here is to show your team that you're not just thinking about yourself, you're thinking about how to make this work for everyone else. If after a month or two, or after constant follow-up, you feel like you're not getting anywhere, then it's time for you to think of other options. And that's okay, because sometimes companies are not in a position to make a change like that, and that's not a reflection on you. Here's what you can do. Start looking for other job opportunities where 4-day work week is already an option. When you apply, be upfront about your preferences to work 4 days a week. There would be a lot of workplaces out there who take work-life balance seriously and would accommodate this. The good news is most of the time, switching to a 4-day work week does not require switching companies. If you are genuine and straightforward and willing to help with the transition, your manager is much more likely to say yes, even if it takes a little time. I want you to remember that you don't have to justify your reasons too much. Personal reasons are valid and mental health issues are taken seriously in most workplaces these days. You can simply say this is for personal reasons and leave it at that. No one needs to pry and you don't owe anyone a deep explanation. Here is the takeaway. When you ask for a change like this, expect some resistance at first. It's normal and it doesn't mean that your request won't be granted. Be patient, be proactive, and make the process as easy as possible for everyone. If you find that your current workplace just isn't willing to make this happen, don't be afraid to explore other opportunities. The right job is out there for you, and trust me, having that extra day off is worth every ounce of work it takes to make it happen. Burnout is one of those things that gets glamorized these days. Like being overworked is some kind of a badge of honor or something. You hear people say things like, I haven't taken a day off in months, or I only slept 5 hours last night, like it's something to be proud of. But let me tell you, burnout isn't a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. You think you can push through it. You tell yourself just one more week, just one more project, and then I'll rest. But the truth is, there's always another email, there's always another deadline, there's always another meeting. So burnout isn't something that you can outwork or ignore. The only way to fix it is to stop. If you don't take care of yourself, no one else will. The world doesn't fall apart if you take a step back. It just feels like it will because we are so used to being on all the time. And when you take that step, you realize that life is still happening and you finally get to live it.